Good evening, everybody. It's Celia here this evening with my week 8 tags. I'll just hang around a bit and see if anybody's around. Okay, that looks okay. Yep, I can see my comments. I can see my hand. It's all good. Can't see any people yet. Oh, there we are. Comments. Hi, everybody. Hi, Kim. Hi, Jan. Hi, Diane. Hi, Sue and Lynn. Oh, quite a crowd. Hi, Di. Can you let me know if the volume's okay? So I had a bit of problem with the sound last time, and some people couldn't hear me. Good. Sounds good. That's good to know. Hi, Lynn. 6 people. Wow. That's pretty quick. Must have been waiting. So everyone had their dinner? Were you eating after? I had mine early. Right, here's my tags. I'll talk about them in a minute when a few more people have turned up. Oh, great. Sounds good. Good. Getting somewhere. Okay. Don't know if anyone else, you're struggling. Oh, sorry, Lynn. Yeah, I did. I tried putting a microphone in, but it just made it worse. So I think I need to get a different microphone. Sometimes, yeah, headphones should help. I'll try talking a bit louder because I do have a tendency to mutter. Okay, we've got 8 people in, 7. Okay. Well, I'll start talking about my tag. This is my technique here. It's an embossing powder resist with paint. I've seen lots of embossing powder with ink pads with distress ink, and I thought I'd have a go with paint, and you get a bit more of a messy effect, which is the sort of thing that I like. I don't really do neat. Yeah, I just moved a bit nearer, so I'm trying to get my face right near my phone. Oh, it's funny how it's different. The sound's different for every device. Okay, how are we doing? What's the time? I'll put that out of the way. Hi, Nikki. So yes, I had a go with lots of colour with this embossing resist, but I thought it was a little bit muddly. It's quite good and quite nice, but I thought it was better with a plainer background, and then you can play around with colours afterwards with the paint, and you get a bit more of a clearer bottom layer. So I've done a few different colours, different themes. This is a kind of a grungy one, vintagey colours, set up to type styly stencils and things. This one's a Tando mask. I can't remember. I think the one underneath might be Carabelle, and then the Tando mask on top. And this is a Tando mask as well, the trellis one. And I also did cover on my techniques journal. So just to show really that you don't have to restrict yourself to tags. You can extend it to a larger substrate. So I thought I'd start decorating my journal. So I just gone bigger and used more colours on this. I've done the inside as well. I've done Dee's tag there because I really like that one. And I made it even bigger in a journal page. So you can really go to town with this. You can make the background more detailed. You can spend longer on the background, spend longer adding colours. So you can take this technique in quite a lot of different ways. Better check my comments. Ooh. Okay, right. Hi everyone else who's just joined. I haven't started yet. I'm just waffling on about the technique. Hi Jane. So that's my journal, and I'll put the tags over to one side and we'll make a start in a minute. So the first thing that we need to do is to paint the base. Is anyone crafting along, or are you going to watch later and do it later rather? Okay, we'll make a start. So I'm going to use just a chalky finish white, or you could use gesso or tintin base or anything white really, white acrylic. The actual mediums aren't too critical in this. You can use whatever you've got really. Oh. This is a bit dried up. I'll just give it a squirt because it's getting a bit gloopy. So I'm just going in and putting down a base of white on my tag. Oh, Kim, you're crafting good. So it doesn't matter if it's not completely white, because we're going to add some more colours over the top. It's up to you how neat you like to be, or how grungy. If you leave a bit of the grey board showing through, it ends up being a little bit more grungy. So that'll do. And stick that in my water. So I'll give that a quick dry before we do our next stage. Oh, some more latecomers, Sarah and Mandy. Hi, you two, and Lynn. I haven't really started much. I've just put down my white base coat, and I've used the white chalky finish in Everlasting, but you could use tinting base, you could use gesso, and white acrylic, anything really. So next, for our background, we're just going to do some stenciling with black. So I need to decide what to do. This can be anything. As you can see, I've done some done quite a busy background for that one, but you could do anything, layer things up. So let's have a go with let's do this one. No, let's do this one. Put that one down. So we could do build up like a background, a bit like a journal page. So I'm just using the fluid acrylic black here, but again, any black will do. You could use chalk paint, the Americana black, anything will do. And I'm going to use a sponge, but you can use a stencil brush as well if you want to. So, oh, hi from Poland. Wow, we're international. That's cool. Right, dab on, dab off. I always go in a bit too wet with this and then it splodges underneath. So I'll try not to make a mess. I'll dab it off a bit more this time. These stencils, they're Stencil Girl one. But I like spirals, that's why I went for this one. Bit splodgy, but never mind. Okay, let's add some more things. This one's cool. That's Carabelle, I think. So if I put that up in the corner and try and avoid my spiral. It's got quite a lot of black in it. And maybe a few more bits in this corner here. And I'll fill in a few little bits in here. Just to fill up some of the white spaces. And then that makes it look a bit different from the original stencil if you mix and match your stencils like that. And get a nice pattern. So the base, the first layer, I've done as monochrome, and then you add your colours later with the paint. But you could also add, you could do stamping with this if you wanted to. You could stamp a background if you have some, say like Tracy Scott's pattern stamps. You could make yourself a nice background with stamping. But I'll just stick with that for now. So I'll get rid of my black paint. Yes, I'm not very good at cleaning my stencils. In fact, I quite often don't bother. Because they still work. I know some people religiously clean them after every go, but that's not me. Right. I'll give that a quick dry. Making the stencils my own. Yes, I certainly am. So this layer needs to be completely dry before we move on to the next stage. So the next stage is the embossing powder. So if there's any wet paint, the embossing powder will stick to it. It's pretty dry. So then you choose another stencil, and it's quite good to use a mask actually, so that you've got big areas where the embossing powder will go. So if you use something like this, it would, well, it'll probably work. I haven't tried it, but I think with a mask with big areas you get a better effect and you see more of the underneath layer then. So you could use that one, that's quite cool. Just see what you think would work. So when you're doing this, the embossing powder is going to resist where the holes are, and where the stencil is, that's the parts that the colour will go on. So the paint will go where the stencil is, if you see what I mean. It'll all become clear. I think I'm going to use this one, because I haven't used it yet, that's why it's so clean. So the next phase is with a sponge and your Versamark, or what's the other one? There's the Wow embossing stamp pad, and there's another one. I think there's a Ranger one. Can't remember what that one's called. So you just get your sponge, dab it in the ink pad, and sponge it on. And the less perfectly you sponge, it means you'll get little tiny holes here. So the paint, you'll get more of a distress look here, as you, I don't know if you can see that, where the sponging has left a few little gaps and then the paint comes through and you get more of a grungy effect. But if you fill it completely so that the embossing powder covers it completely, you'll get a cleaner effect. But it's a bit random how it comes anyway, but you can experiment and see what sort of effect you want to get. So you're just sponging all over here. Can be a bit hard to see where you've been. And my Versamark's covered in glitter and all sorts. I've got an outline of a letter there where I was, oh, it was from when I was doing my techniques journal. As I put embossing powder on my letters. So this hasn't completely covered here, so I'll just add a little bit more there. And if you tilt it, you can see where you've been, just to make sure that you've covered most of it. Got a hair in there. Okay, that's mostly covered. And I forgot to put on the ingredients that you need a piece of paper for your embossing, to catch your embossing powder, but I'm sure most people have got a piece of paper lying around. So get my clear embossing powder. So it's a fine one rather than the chunky UT or something like that. So a fairly fine clear. You can, if you want to, use something like embossing glaze, which is translucent, which would give you a different effect. I haven't actually tried that yet. I was going to. So you could use embossing glaze or any other translucent powders that you've got, and then you would get, obviously you would get a slight colouring here. So that would be quite cool to try. So just tip this on. Oh, more people. Hi Joyce and Celia. I've just got to about phase 2 here. First phase is just putting some white down, and then I've stenciled with black paint over the white to get the black and white image, and then I've used Versamark put on with a sponge through a stencil to create a resist. So just get this in there. I don't suppose you'll be able to see what's going on here. You can just about see where the embossing powder is on the tag there. So I'll set this now. We should just go shiny. It's just starting now. It does take a while because there's quite a large area. Starting to go now. This is where you find out if you've missed anywhere. But you can go back in and reapply, try and line your stencil up if you've missed any areas. It's not a problem. Obviously don't touch it. It's very hot. So it's okay if you hold the edges. It's not too bad. that's more or less it. Okay, I don't know if you can see, if I tilt it you can see where it's shiny, and just about make out the kind of cells effect from this stencil. Right, now the magic bit. I'm using purple today because people always think something's wrong with me if I'm not using purple. And I'm also using 3 different types of paint just to show it doesn't really matter what brand, what colour, just paint, any type of paint. So I've got a Paper Artsy Globe Thistle, I've got Americana Vivid Violet, and a Dina Wakley Blackberry. So you can use any colours, but I quite like this ombre effect that you get if you use, you know, 3 different shades of one colour, and then you get this nice variation, and with the brown one as well. But you can use any colours or just one colour. You can do patches, like here in my journal cover I've used different colours and kind of blended them all, and you can go back in and reapply the paint and blend it in and then wipe it back again. So, oh, the cat's outside. He's meowing to come in. Right. So, you just put a blob of paint at the top there. Not too much, you don't need a lot. And me and my cat meowing. And then a little bit of this blackberry here. Then with your brush, I'm gonna, here's my brush gone. Oh, I used it. I'll get another one. Right, so I'm going to start with the lighter shade and then just paint it down. So you'll cover the whole lot and then kind of blend it through. Blend the colours together there. A bit too much there. And then you start, ooh, that looks nice. Then you can blend them a little bit. You're going to white, so that will blend them a bit more as well. And then you just wait a little while. It's not really specific how long. I find that the chalk paints dry a bit more and they absorb into the un-embossed parts of the card. So just give it a little bit longer. This is still quite shiny. Let's see. And then you just start wiping back. If you take too much off, you can always go back in again. And then if you gently wipe with paper towel, or you can go in with a baby wipe as well, it starts to reveal. It wipes off where the embossing powder was and stays where the embossing powder isn't. So you start to get the pattern from the stencil coming through. That's rather nice. And then you can go in with a baby wipe and kind of clean up some of your areas here. So you can clean up where the embossing powder is. It does take some of the background off, but you can always go back in and sort of rub in a bit more with your finger or a paintbrush. Yeah, big reveal. Missed a trick there, shouldn't I? Should have done a drum roll or something. Oh, I've taken off a bit too much there. But can always put it back on. Like so. Yes, the paper towel was dry to start off with, but I think my baby wipe was a bit too wet, but if you just carefully wipe the parts where the embossing powder is and try not to go to the lower layer, then it doesn't take too much of the paint off there. Go back in. And you could always go in with some other colours just to get some variation. I'm trying to find my fluorescent. Where's my pink? Can't find it. Never mind. Let's see what else. I've got pink here. Oh, that's a bit pale. I can put a little bit in there. And just sort of rub it in. So you can add a few other colours just to give a bit of variation. That's it really. As I said before, you can. The first one I tried, instead of using a black and white background, I put colour down, and I think I put some gilding wax on this as well, just to bring up, to highlight the embossed areas, which you could do. You can highlight. Let's do that. Let's put a bit of gilding wax on. Just an option. Just put some wax on in a few places. So this is the Metallique Alchemy in Old Silver. So you could just rub it on and then it picks up some of the texture. Put a bit around the edge. Okay. That's it really. Oh, hi Dee. I've just finished. So for anybody who's just come in later, I'll just go through the 3 tags which I was playing with, just experimenting with. So that was the first one I did with the black and white base and a Tando mask on the top for the resist. This one was done in more grungy colours. It's still black and white, but I used browns for the acrylic, and it just gives a more of a grungy effect then. But you could use a distress glaze or something like that to get more grunginess. I want to try and get the brownie one of this because I've only got this one. And this one was done with pinks and purples. And another Tando mask. It's this kind of Moroccan one. So that works really well. And I also did a journal page just to show that you can expand the technique into a journal. So this was the same thing, but I just used a big stencil over the top. Well, this was a mask as well. This is another Stencil Girl one. And then just lots of, I think I did my colours just a few at a time. Rubbed off 3 there and then did some more there and rubbed them off. And put in a few other little highlight areas of brighter colours. So that's that. Okay. I don't think I've got anything else to add really. That's my technique. So I'd really love to see what people will be doing, and obviously put your tags up on the group so that we can all have a look. So I'll sign off now. Thank you for watching and see you in the group. Bye for now.